Hi guys, Ashley here from Performance Ground, and today we're going to talk about activity trackers, why they're beneficial for your training and why you might want to leave it at home on your next run. Technology in the fitness industry is a relatively new concept. Cyclists, triathletes, runners, endurance athletes have been using heart rate monitors for decades, and that technology is kind of developed. But with the likes of, say, Fitbit and Apple and Garmin, they've took these this technology and brought it to the mass market, brought it to the general public, and now we can track all sorts of things. So calories burnt, our footsteps throughout the day, our heart rate, our sleep quality, and loads of other different things. So this could be good for our training if you're an athlete, or it can also hinder your progress. So we're going to talk about why. So what do these fitness trackers do? So essentially it's a little wearable device that you can put on your wrist, or some go like in a pocket, that kind of thing. And they measure your footsteps throughout the day, your calories burnt, your heart rate, some of them do heart rate, your sleep quality if you wear it to bed. Some of them actually have a GPS unit built in, so they track your mileage and your speed. So how can this data benefit your training and your activity? Having a fitness tracker or some kind of activity tracker on your wrist is almost acting like a source of surveillance. It's keeping an eye on how much you do with it throughout the day and where your kind of high and low peaks are. So on average, a person will do 20% more steps during a day if they're wearing one of these fitness trackers. And that's because you've actually got a number, a quantitative number to progress with, or to keep track of your activity, your steps. And then with this, you also get things like calories burnt throughout the day, your heart rate throughout the day, and you can actually see the number. So you can try and progress and improve on these numbers. So burning more calories throughout the day, or even checking your heart rate and almost seeing the progress of your resting heart rate dropping, or when you're training, see how high your heart rate is getting during your training. Previously, Polar have developed these heart rate zones. So 1 to 6, on a scale of 1 to 6. 6 being absolute maximal heart rate, and then 1 being completely rested and sedentary. So what you can do is monitor these zones and guide your training depending on the zones that you want to hit during your training. One other thing some of the more advanced activity trackers can do is monitor your mileage. So they use a GPS unit within the watch or whatever the device you have, and they can monitor your mileage throughout your training. This is really beneficial for endurance athletes like runners, cyclists, and swimmers. These are some of the good things that come from activity trackers, but their strengths can also be their Achilles heel. Now, people are becoming really reliant on the data from the activity trackers, and this can really throw off your senses, and at the end of the day, you should go on how your body feels. So these activity trackers, they give you reams and reams of data, but what does the data actually mean? If you hit 10,000 steps in a day, or if you burn 3,000 calories, what does it mean? You need to analyze it for yourself, and that's something that this technology doesn't really do. It's still in its early stages. One other thing is that you need to take this data with a pinch of salt. So the technology is still relatively new, within the last kind of 5 to 10 years. So the accuracy of some of this data can be thrown off by about 40%. And if you think of it, that's absolutely massive. So if you do leave your activity trackers at home when you go out for your next workout or for your next run, whatever you're going to do, what are the alternatives? What else can you do to monitor your training if you must? So obviously just pen and paper, write down your sets and reps, or your miles, your speed, those kind of things, or your times whilst you're running. But if you really must give it an intensity, you can use an RPE scale. So just from 1 to 10, how intense was it? 10 being absolute maximum and 1 being like a walk with a dog. Another alternative is just the oldest one in the book, and just how do you feel? If you feel really tired and fatigued, you probably want to try and auto-regulate your training a little bit and bring back the intensity. But sometimes you need to push this to get the adaptations we need. If we're coming close to a competition, we're going to feel tired, we're going to feel fatigued, but you need to push through your training. At the end of the day, you should know your own body better than a little piece of technology does. So if you feel good, push your training. If you feel a little bit tired, bring your training back. You shouldn't have to rely on a watch or your phone to tell you to do that. So if you do use an activity tracker, if you have, say, a Fitbit or any of the other brands, let us know how you use it, how often you use it, and if you think you can kind of like wean yourself off it. Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit like and don't forget to subscribe.